what are you doing? I'm like, what? Like, why do you keep asking me what I'm doing? He said, pack your bags. They want to do your idea. So that's where, Marlena came to fruition and came to be. And so, yeah. And then she was born in, at Royal Rumble. Yeah. And then one evening, I was in, my tanning bed, and I was just laying in the tanning bed and thinking about, like, what is it that WWF is missing? What is it? Because at this point, Dustin had now gone to WWF, right? So I started thinking, I loved being a stay-at-home mom. I loved, like, I didn't want to do anything else. But one night, Dustin's on the road. I am laying there thinking, what is it that they don't have at New York? What is it that they are missing in New York? And so I thought to myself, we've got Scary Sherry, we've got, cheerleader pom pom Sunny. Dustin is doing this character. What is it that they are missing? So the whole character of Goldust was missing this component that I thought they were missing, which is this amazing character of, like, the old school Hollywood. So Dustin was doing the whole, kind of being the he was does not he's driving me crazy, coughing and snoring. Um, so I realized that, wow, old school Hollywood, back in the days of Marlena Dietrich, back in the days of old school Hollywood, these long dresses with trains, this whole, Marlena Dietrich would wear these suits or these long dresses. And so I was like, that's what they're missing. So I called Dustin, and I'm like, Dust, well, like, how do you feel? I gave him my idea, and he goes, I love it. I said, okay, great. Like, call Vince. And back in the day, Dustin was scared as hell to broach any subject to anyone that was above him. So when I said to him, call Vince, he said, this is your idea. You call Vince, which, was very typical. Hold on. However, so I was like, I didn't care. Like, I was not ever shy to speak to anyone about anything. So I called the office, and I get a phone call back from Pat. And this is in December of 95. And so Pat's the one that calls me, say, Vince wants me to call you, what's up. So I told him, my idea. And it was kind of the obligatory, yeah, good girl, but yeah, no, we're not interested. But thanks so much for, So I didn't care. I was loving being a stay-at-home mom, And so I was at my grandparents' home, which is from where I'm sitting at this very moment, maybe 3/4 of a mile away from where I'm at right now. And so Dustin calls me, and it's Christmas time now. We're at Christmas. Dustin called me, and he's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Well, I'm at Gran and Granny's house." And this was back still when, days on the road, 20 days on the road. That was still the norm back then. You remember those days. So Dustin said, what are you doing? I'm like, what? Like, why do you keep asking me what I'm doing? He said, pack your bags. They want to do your idea. So that's where, Marlena came to fruition and came to be. And so, yeah. And then she was born in, at Royal Rumble. So.
And how was your first meeting with Vince? It's always interesting when people meet Vince for the first time. How was your first meeting with Vince when you go over the Marlena character and all that he had in mind and Pat had in mind and you had brought up?
I know it was all my mind. It had nothing to do with them. It was all my mind. So, I had I didn't care. I had been around presidents, princes, poppers, porn stars. Like, I was not shy to be around anyone. So I didn't care. I didn't, no big deal. Told him what my idea was. And I told him I will either go to the ring with a glass of wine or a cigar, which I used to love to run a bubble bath and pour a glass of wine and have a cigar.
Mr. Brisco still does that.
Yeah, I got red back there in the background.
Anyway, yeah.
So when you went on the road during that Christmas break, did you get a one-on-one with Vince so that they kind of define the character, or did he? Because Vince, I know Vince, working with him so many years, I know when a character comes in, he wants to meet with the character so he can get his input in there too, and kind of define the character the way that he sees it. Also, did you have that meeting?
Yeah, I had that meeting. I had nothing to lose. I wasn't scared. I wasn't, it didn't bother me in the least. Again, like I said, I've been around presidents, princes, porn stars, whatever. It didn't bother me.
President. I would assume that'd be Jimmy Carter being on the line, right?
No, I don't think so back then. Who was the president back then? 96.
Bill Clinton.
No, Bill. No, 96.
Bill Clinton. Maybe that's the reason you like cigars. Maybe it was with Bill Clinton.
No. I like cigars.
That's terrible, Jerry. That is just terrible.
But anyway, I just, and then when coming up with names, my thing was either I wanted to be called Oscar because that was a great name. It was a very, wanting to be, and I'm having a hard time thinking about the hold on one second. My feeble brain will allow me to think of it for 1 second. Hold on. Androgynous. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. Androgynous. So I knew I wanted this androgyny because of what they had already started with Dustin. So I wanted to create this sideline / controlling character that was androgynous as well. So yeah, I thought Marlena, because that would be a great androgynous name. And Marlena Dietrich was a great androgynous character. Yeah, and so it was just, and so it was funny though. Vince, get this shit. Vince, so we finally come down to it's either going to be a wine glass or a cigar, right? I'm either going to have a wine glass or a cigar. And so Vince would say to me, damn it, don't like that son of a bitch until right before you go out to the ring. Then years later, he's on the cover of Cigar Aficionado. And I'm like, you bastard, you wouldn't let me light the sucker backstage. but you are now on the cover of Cigar Aficionado. Anywho, but yeah, I mean, it was one of those things where, yeah, I loved it. I loved smoking. I loved, yeah.
Well, you know, in fairness, Pat and Lanza, you know, love to smoke, and Vince never let him smoke around him. You know, he hated.
I know. And it was Pat that eventually talked him into, if you'll ever go back and look, the first time I went out, the cigar wasn't lit. I'm like, Vince, that makes no sense. That's stupid. It was Pat that talked him into letting me light the sucker and go out to the ring with it. Because it was stupid otherwise. Why just go out with an unlit cigar?
Unlit cigar, yeah. Unless you wanted to be Arnold Skolin.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Great story there. Great story there. Hold on.
You guys shared cigars. I got to hear this.
Oh my Lord. So Kevin Dunn, this was a great rib. Kevin Dunn said to, and I forget which camera guy it was, starts with a D. Help me. Duff, not Duff. Oh shoot. Oh, sorry guys, I'm old.
What are you trying to think of?
Okay,
Camera
so
guy,
the rib
name that
was
starts with a D, Jerry.
the
Dave,
rib on me was that they would get this camera guy to come over and say, we didn't get the shot, you need to do it again. And so he did it over and over again. When I got backstage, I was as green as a cucumber, and I was just vomiting. It was like god awful. But yeah, so yeah, that was a funny rib. That was a good one.